Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Keith Armour. I'm the Education and Homework Support Manager down here at Maine, and I'm in the Adult Learning Center. And today we're going to focus on DIY, do it yourself. We woke up several days this week already with cold temperatures. Fall is officially here, and sometimes we have some car issues that we don't quite understand. And before we go to the shop to get it fixed, having some prior knowledge about maybe the issue would be really helpful. Now, I'm not going to tell you about how to fix your car. My father, of course, would definitely be laughing out loud if he thought that I was going to be doing that. But we're going to go to a resource that's online on our website that will give you a lot more information on not only car repair, but also recalls too, or some issues that might be happening with your automobile. The other site we're going to go to is one that I've used a lot since I own a house now, and that is Home Improvement Reference Center. It's a really good resource that will kind of fine tune some of the simple things you've got around the house, and it's like having your own gigantic manual on home repair at your fingertips. So we're going to look at both of those, and then we'll look at a few other things too real quick before we dive into those resources. So let's go ahead and take a look. Well, all right, you should all be seeing now our wonderful new website. It's still at the same address, cincinnatilibrary.org. Don't forget to check out our events that are on the right-hand side. We have a wonderful Advanced Funder Research Lab if you want to check that out, but we're going to go to Research Databases over here. Before we do that, don't forget there's Banned Books Week this week, so you can protest censorship by just reading one of these banned books. So we're going to go to Research Databases, and we're going to go to Areas of Interest, but we're going to view all this time. And right down here is DIY, which is do it yourself. Now we're going to visit chiltonlibrary.com, and then we're also going to visit the Home Improvement Reference Center. We're going to go here first, and it does have photographs and diagnostics. It's got recalls and technical service bulletins for automobiles and light trucks. And it does have some maintenance scheduling as well that we're going to take a look at first. So we're going to click on here. And you'll notice there's a little symbol that says you have to have a library card. So if you're not in the library system and you're doing it at home, you're going to have to put in your library card and your PIN. And don't forget, if you don't have a library card, you can get one at 369-6900. And any Ohio resident is eligible to get one of our library cards for Hamilton County. All right, so we're here. And it's got, it's not a fancy looking website by no means, but it's packed with a lot of information. We're going to go to this right here, the ASE test prep quizzes first. And the reason I'm doing that is because you're going to see that on a couple of the screens up at the top. This is test prep for someone who is trying to pass the Del Mar technician's test. So each one contains 15 questions, and they would go through the questions and they would learn a little bit on preparing for that test. It's a nice certification that technicians, mechanics would need to have to be able to work on certain vehicles. So if you know anyone or if you're interested, this is a great place to start on to becoming a mechanic. We're going to go back to home, and this time we're going to actually select a year, and we're going to say 2016, and then we're going to go, I'm going to scroll down here so you can see all of the different makes of cars. There's everything you could possibly think of. Let's pick Mazda, and then we're going to pick a popular model, the CX-5. So we've selected the year, we selected the car, the model, the car brand, and then we're going to pick the model, which is CX-5. We're going to hit select. And you'll notice that we've got repair, maintenance, and bulletins and recalls. We've got the same menu that's up here. And once again, I pointed out the ASE test prep quizzes first because that's going to show up each time you put in a different vehicle. But you've got repair, maintenance, and bulletins. So let's just go to bulletins and recalls. So say you've had the Mazda CX-5 for several years. It's a 4-year-old car because you got it in 2016. Here are the different recalls that are here. So if you did not receive information, and some of them came out just recently, and some of them came out, well, there wasn't that many. The last one was in 2015. So let's click that, and it's the wonderful check engine light. And here it is, a description, and then this is actually something that needs to be replaced. So if you would go into the mechanic, I'll go into the shop, and they're going to honor this recall and fix this, you would then even ask for, you could even ask for those parts that they're replacing that are going to go on your car. So you can just double check that you know that the repair procedure is correct, and you'll understand a little bit more about that particular recall. So we're going to click out of that. So that's very helpful, just so you can get a general idea about what's happening to your vehicle. So we're going to go back to maintenance right here at the top. We're still under the 2016 Mazda CX-5. Click on that. And usually what happens when you get a car, you get really excited and you're very good about keeping up with the maintenance. And then you've had the car 3-4 years, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, where did I put that manual? Well, here's the manual basically about maintenance. But you have to do a little bit of work first. You have to decide which model you have, which trim, and we're going to say it's the sport trim. And it comes in at 2.5 liters, and then it automatically fills in some information for us. The sports trim with the 2.5 liters definitely is gas, and it's a 4-cylinder car. And then we pick the drive type. Is it a 4-wheel drive? Is it front-wheel drive, or is it an all-wheel drive? We're going to say it's an all-wheel drive for our purpose. It's the sports utility. The transmission, is it automatic? Is it standard? Is it a stick shift? Or is it automatic? We're going to say automatic. And then we have to kind of decide about the operating condition. Is it normal or is it severe? Do I put a lot of miles on this car? Do I really handle it crazy, or is it just normal? We're going to say normal. And then you'll notice here it says enter the mileage. Now I could put in a different number. The first time it really needs some service is 7,500 miles. And it just suggests doing these. So you're lubricating, you're replacing the engine oil and filter, the top off the fuel levels, and inspect the lights, and rotate, inspect the tires, and all of that. And then these are some recommendations also apply. So you see some of these other things that are going on as well. Say your car is not, it has more than 7,500 miles. You can just look ahead by clicking here, and you'll notice the next time that you really need to get some more work on your car is at 15,000. And you see some of the same things. You've got the oil, inspect the front and rear brakes, rotate and inspect the tires, and then a couple of other things that are coming up. And then we can go on to the next one. And that's usually a fairly new, we've got, once again, 22,500 miles. And we're inspecting here. And then we go to the next one. And usually the 30,000 mile has a lot more things that are happening to it. Now, you can just enter your mileage here, or let's look at the full chart. We're going to look at the full chart right here. And you'll notice this has all of the different things and the service names for them and some special notes about those. and also the type of service. Is it going to need to be replaced at some time? The air filter, when is that air filter that they always try to talk me into changing every time I go in? Well, it says every 25,000 or every 2 years, so you should replace that. You'll notice it has all these milestones. Once again, here's that 30,000. There's a lot of things that need to be done. Here's the 60,000, and the last column is the 90,000. And along the way, you see what needs to happen. I think it's a great way to look at this information and try to determine what I need to be putting money aside to make sure that I have these things going forward. So I have my vehicle starts up and gets going. The maintenance schedule is just so important. So if I click back to maintenance, it's going to ask me to put in all of that information again because there are different types of CX5. You want to make sure you're putting in the correct information. And you can, of course, see the full chart. Now, if you see the full chart, maybe you don't know what all the different types of submodels there are. And look at all the submodels just for the 2016 Mazda CX-5. And so it does all the work for you. And so you can just click and then view chart. So let's pick this one. Let's say it's a 2-liter. And we're going to click view chart. And then we have to select normal or severe. We'll pick severe this time. And we open it up and it already fills all this information out for me over here. And then it's telling me, because I drive it fairly severely, I drive it a lot, I drive it quickly, I put my foot on the brake really quick, I run up, I do all sorts of things, I'm very severe with it. Now it's telling me that I should do these things at 5,000 miles instead of that 7,500 miles, okay? And the same thing, I can look at the full chart, and there's the full chart. But remember, this is the severe chart if you're really, really hard on your car. That's what my dad used to always says, don't be too hard on your car. All right, we're going to go back to maintenance, okay? And once again, you can just look at the full chart. So you don't have to do a lot of guesswork. You can already see all the different vehicle types and you can view what needs to be done. Now, this is a little bit more tricky. If we go to repair, repair is when you have some general information and identification, you can look at all of these different things, okay? I don't know too many people anymore that actually repair their vehicle simply because there's more and more things that that you need a mechanic to do. You need a technician to do. But it would be great to know that if you have a brake problem, that you can go to this site and kind of try to figure out where that sound is coming from, understanding some general procedures for braking and the things that need to happen. And so when the mechanic actually comes out, the technician actually comes out and tells you what they're going to do, you can kind of have a better understanding of that piece of information. And don't forget the bulletins and recalls because you just want to stay on top of your vehicle and making sure that you know what's going on with your vehicle. But you won't have as many problems if you stick to the maintenance schedule. So we'll go back to the home here. And then don't forget you're going to select the year. I have noticed that on this site, there's very few vehicles that have all of the repair, maintenance, and bulletins for the year 2020. The year 2019, 18. It's usually right around 2017 that you have more of all of these things here. You can look for every vehicle for bulletins and recalls because that information comes out. But a lot of this information is in that book that you get when you first get a car. But a lot of times we replace the book and we misplace the book and we don't know where that is. So this is a great resource to use for that. So we're going to go back to the main site, and I'm going to go ahead and, let me see if I can get back there without too many clicks, and I'm going to just do it that way. That's a little bit easier. So I'm going to go to Research Databases again, and go to View All, and Do It Yourself, DIY. And then we're going to go to Home Improvement Reference Center. Now, here we have the Ohio Web Library, and I'm going to have to put in my library card. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to hit Submit. And the next thing they're going to ask you is select your library. And don't forget, we changed our name. We were the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Now we're Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library, which is really helpful because it's right up here. It's the second one, and we submit that. And what we do to make sure that we're spending every taxpayer dollar very wisely is we get in a consortium with a whole bunch of libraries in the state of Ohio that covers the cost. We share the cost of this particular website and several other ones as well. You'll notice there's all the main topics. You've got topics from A to Z. You've got decorating, electrical, maintenance, woodworking, remodeling, plumbing, and outdoor. So if we were going to go to, let's say, decorating, and you see all the different categories for decorating, and let's pick decorating, let's pick small spaces. And look at all of these ideas for bathrooms, bedrooms, kids' rooms, kitchens, outdoor living. So if I went to, let's say we're going to go to living rooms, since we all seem to be staying inside a little bit more, here is some information on, it's actually 25 pages of information with 50 different ideas on what to do with your living room. 50 ideas on 25 pages. Now, what's great about this is you also have the ability to do a whole bunch of things. You can, of course, create a sign-in, and you can then put items in your folder for use later, so you don't have to go and search it each time. You can, of course, print it out, and you can download it as a PDF right up here, or you can print it out. You could email it to yourself or someone else that you're working with. You can put it in your folder here, and then of course you can cite it, and you can even send a link to this exact article to the person that you're working with. And then if you want to continue, you can just look at the one page. You just click here, and you can look at just that page. And you can then, if you're finished with living rooms and you just want to continue, you can look at kitchens. And once again, kitchens has 23 pages and lots of ideas as well. It kind of continues the theme. This is like a huge, gigantic idea book that's a combination of a lot of different resources that would help you in getting everything together, decorating, and all sorts of other things. Let's look under maintenance, because we're starting to run out of time. A lot of things, we want to save money, and we want to make sure that we're doing things. I would be amiss if I tell you don't go too much into maintenance unless you really know what you're doing. But right here, let's look at, let's go to windows and doors. It started getting cold this week, so we want to make sure our windows and doors are all working. So right here is improving window operation. We click right there. So it's going to tell me how to improve my window operation. Going to tell me a couple of things that I might need for this. I might need to adjust my windows. It's going to give me some tips for freeing a sticking window. What about broken sash cords? And those are the cords that are actually within. And even how to clean the window crank. Now, one thing that I've noticed when I've been looking at these websites and really preparing for today's Lunch and Learn, I've noticed that when I click on all of these things within our databases, that I'm not, after I get out of this and go to search something on Google, or I go to get the news on several news sites, and this advertisements that show up, there's not going to be an advertisement about how to work with my windows, or how all of a sudden there's a Windows replacement that I could get. Because this is a closed system. This database is closed. No advertisers can see you going in here and looking at the information that you're looking for. So I think that's a really added benefit, that you look into the library's website for some of this resource, and so you're not bombarded later by people, by Google or any of the sales sources out there trying to sell you something because you're looking for it. But all of this stuff is right here. There's great stuff on outdoor areas, how to make green spaces, how to fix it 101, and all of these different things where you can actually fix some things outside. But once again, be very careful out there. Make sure you read everything really careful. And you can always look at some of the how-to videos over here. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to go back to the main page so you'll see it. But over here, the toolbox, there are some how-to videos. I don't think they're that great. I think you can find some good how-to videos on YouTube, but they are some good videos over here. You do have to have Flash. So if you click on here, there's 97 videos. So we're just talking, well, let's look at the very first one. It says external paint preparation, how to prepare the outside. You'll notice that this little thing comes up right here. Flash player is required to view. Click to install. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to allow once, and it's going to come back, and you'll notice there's an animation to it. So I don't know if you're missing too much, but you click through, and it's going to show every step of the process on preparing to paint on the outside. Once again, you can add it to your folder, you can print it, you can save it, you can do all sorts of things with it. But it's instructional, and I think the videos aren't bad, but there are some resources out there that might be a little bit better. This conversion chart is a lifesaver. I've used it around my own house several times when I'm looking for something and trying to figure out how to change from metric. But here it is, the different size nails, all sorts of different information. Okay, so that's the conversion chart. And then the last thing that I would really think, you could always, the glossary of terms is really important if you want to know how important all these words are that are going to be on this website. So there's a huge glossary of terms that you can look at, and there's a long list of them. There's 3 pages of them. And of course you can read this real short article about working with contractors. But this is one of the great features on here is the Homeowner's Journal. And you click here, and this is an entire complete book, 120 pages. And once again, you could print it, you can email it, you could just put it in your folder, but it's all this important information that you need to have. A lot of times when we have a big storm or something and something happens, we don't know all the information because it's in so many different different forms. This would be a great resource for anyone that has a house and to be able to make some notes and know exactly when you got that roof repaired and what type of roof it was and all of the other information. Of course, you could add some information too about appliances as well. So I think this is a great resource for a lot of different ways, just to kind of bone up on different ways to do some home improvement in a lot of different ways, and tells you in step-by-step manner, and a lot of different collections. It does have a featured project spotlight. This is now compost bin. And then the homeowner's journal, I think, is a great resource. So I hope that you check out both of the resources that we looked at today. We looked at chiltonlibrary.com, and then of course we looked at the Improvement Center. So I'm going to switch out and tell you a couple of more things. We've come to the end of today's Lunch and Learn. We went to chiltonlibrary.com, and of course we went to Home Improvement Reference Center. I hope you find these resources as useful as I do. They are just a click away for you, and you can learn a little bit about an issue with your car or something that you want to do around your house, and know that the information is correct and up to date. I think they always say knowledge is power, and having that knowledge about a particular issue, especially when it comes to your car, when you go in and all of a sudden the mechanic starts talking to you, or at least talking to me, it's very confusing. So hopefully this resource you'll find as useful as I do. So next week we're going to continue with our do-it-yourself, DIY. We're going to visit some hobbies and crafts and talk about the resources that you can when you're hunkering down in these cold weather times. All right, thanks very much, and see you next Thursday at noon.